For the 14th time in NSRA history, we are ready to go racing here in the Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to the Mecca of Motorsports, the 2.5-mile superspeedway that usually starts out everybody's season in NR 2003. 10 seasons were run for the Snickers Cup Series. The Daytona 500 was the pinnacle starting point for every one of those seasons. After season 10, the Snickers Cup Series was retired, but 3 seasons after, season 11, season 12, season 13, the Daytona 500 was run, and we continue on that tradition here with the 14th annual running of the Great American Race in the now defunct Snickers Cup Series. It's a one-off race that we do when we end up having not much to be able to put for content here on the channel. And so after the conclusion of the Last of Us Light Series, Coors Light Truck Series, Pizza Deck Series, and Hershey's Cup Series, we now are ready to go racing here at Daytona. 50 laps of racing. Got a lot of drivers that we know very well here in this race, but we also have some other drivers that are making their very first starts in an NSRA event, including the driver starting on the pole for Stewart Haas Racing, the Smithfield Ford Fusion of Mitchell Collins. So we'll see if good starting track position will put a driver in good position to maybe in their first start, as is the case with Mitchell today, to be able to get their first career NSRA win. Alongside of him, Go Fast Racing single car entry with Jay Jefferson behind the wheel. As we come into this race, we have a total, I believe it is, of 3 former winners of this event. We'll get to those in a few moments. And we also have, off of our 4 champions this season in the 4 main series that just concluded, only one of those drivers is in this field, the former champion from the Pizza Deck Series, James Shelley. Without further ado, though, it's time to take a look at our starting lineup. So, without further ado, take a look down on the bottom of your screen as the cars get ready to roll off here for their pace lap at 70 miles per hour. So, obviously, with this being the 14th annual Daytona 500 in the Snickers Cup Series, we've had 13 different previous race winners. Never had a multi-time winner in the 500. We've got 3 drivers that have an opportunity for that here today. They would include Charles Sanford. He's in the 03. He's was the Season 7 winner of the 500. Levi McIntyre won in Season 9. He's driving the 99 in today's field. And Trent Dunham was the last driver to win the Daytona 500 back when there was actually a full season of the Snickers Cup Series back in Season 10. He is in the number 1 car here today. Other drivers, though, that have won this event that are not in the field include the inaugural Daytona 500 winner, Logan Wilson. John Braze took the win back in Season 2. Trent Whitney in Season 3. He would go on to win the championship that year. Jacob Lawler won in Season 4. James McLeod in Season 5. Barney Ward in Season 6. Makoto Iguchi won in Season 8. Season 11 was James Silverfox. Nicholas Romero won in Season 12. And Season 13, the defending winner, was Blaine Keys. Kind of interesting, you see the number 9 there on the inside of row 3. That is Michael Whitman. Now, it is not a Richard Petty Motorsports number 9. It's a Hendrick Motorsports number 9. But in the 13 races we have previously run here for the Daytona 500, 3 of those wins have been won by a driver driving the number 9 car. It was the number 9 Ford Fusion out of Richard Petty Motorsports at the time, but Logan Wilson in Season 1, Makoto Iguchi in Season 8, and James Silverfox in Season 11 all were driving the number 9 at the time they went to victory lane in this event. We'll have to see in 14 seasons, or in 14 events I should say, if the number 9 will go to victory lane for an unprecedented 4th time with Whitman behind the wheel. Pace car is going to make the left-hand turn to pit road. It'll be 50 laps of racing here today at Daytona. We're going to see them double wide, 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide, because it's a non-points event. They all just want the trophy. Green flags in the air. We're racing at Daytona. Blue ovals on the bottom. Mitchell Collins, rear deck lid full of Dylan Young and the Hooters Ford Fusion out of Young Motorsports. It looks like another Ford going to tuck in behind them, that being Jay Jefferson, and right behind them you got that 14. Actually, he just now got separated. Michael Whitman blocking him, but the 14 of Jose Mills. And Dylan Young wants to lead the first lap in the Daytona 500. 3 wide already behind him. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, I would say at least maybe 9, 10 rows deep. That was a close call right there. Maybe a little contact between the 14 and the 9 as Dylan Young will indeed lead lap number 1. 3 wide for second. Jackson now to the bottom. Zach Winkle, the 43, put in the middle. Cody Lamas right behind Charles Jackson there, the number 20 out of Joe Gibbs Racing. As they continue to be 3 wide, now Jackson in the number 95 Chevrolet, sponsored by M&M, is going to go to the middle. Cody Lamas, big run and a lot of help on the bottom. He's going to go to the inside, 3 wide for the lead. Levi McIntyre, former Daytona 500 winner there in the 99 second on the inside line. Then you got the 24 Ryan Brommer, and we've got a wreck at the back. Caution will wave as they wreck out of turn number 4. Cody Lamas going to lead us under our first yellow flag. And it was hard to tell all the drivers they were involved back there. It looked like we had upwards to maybe 8 to 10 race cars in it. I saw one car up in the wall, the 88 of Rob Evans. Several other drivers were down on the apron on the exit of the final corner. I've seen them moving around back there mid-pack. Dylan Young was moving side to side. I was wondering if maybe they plowed into each other, but they didn't. So Cody Lamas leads them back to the caution. The caution came out on lap number 2. Let's see who were the drivers that were involved. Looks like Seth Cole, the 55, got a piece of it. Jordan Lopez in the 17. Looks like maybe a little bit of damage there to Carter Friesen's 38. There's the 88 right there, Rob Evans. He's the one that I saw go up into the wall. And you've also got Ashlyn Boyd, the 18, back here with this group. So you got to wonder if he got a piece of the wreck or not. The only visible damage right now, though, is on the rear of the 88, the right front of the 38, the hood of the 17, and then just about everywhere on the 55. They're going to come to pit road here as they will use the benefit of a caution to make a pit stop. They're going to have to pit multiple times here today, so they figured that doing it now would help them get a little bit further if they get into a green flag run when we go back green. So it's Cody Lamas leads the rest of the field down pit road. Let's take a look and see what brought out the caution for the first time here today out of turn number 4. Well, we said they were going to get 4 wide, and that's exactly what they did. Seth Cole, little contact there with Trent Dunham, both those cars in the middle. He's going to come down across the nose of Alexander Rowe in the 34. Clips the very left rear of Rob Evans. Carter Friesen nowhere to go. Jordan Lopez gets a piece, and Ashlyn Boyd, I think, is going to get through. Just going to sneak through in that M&M's Camry. So nice piece of driving by Ashlyn to avoid several cars that were spinning to both his inside and outside. So it looks like in that incident, only 4 cars really involved. Evans, Friesen, Lopez, and Seth Cole. It's enough to bring out the first caution of the day, though, and sets us up for the restart. We've been given the 1 to green signal as the lights are out atop the pace car. Cody Lamas was first on pit road. His team getting it done as he gets off pit road as the race leader. Everybody that started this race to take the green flag on lap 1 will be taking the green flag here on lap 7 when we do go back racing. And right now everybody is on the lead lap, but there are a couple of drivers near the rear of the field we need to document because something did happen under the caution. You'll notice back here, Seth Cole, Carter Friesen, Jordan Lopez, they were all involved in the wreck, but there's a lot of damage on the 32 of outside pole sitter Jay Jefferson. When all these drivers came to pit road, when they came off turn 2, exiting the pit lane, there was a bit of a problem with drivers checking up to get ready to get back into the pacing line, and there was some contact that went on, and I believe Jay Jefferson, I don't know who ran to the back of him, but he ran to the back of James Shelley, and as a result had to come back down pit road. They had to rip the hood off of that Ford, and now he's definitely not going to be aerodynamically sound, and he may be off the pace now as well. So a tough break there for Jay Jefferson. Had high hopes coming to this race. Qualified second on the outside of the front row, and now very early on in this thing finds himself damaged. Same can be said for drivers like Carter Friesen, Rob Evans, Seth Cole, and Jordan Lopez. We're going to have to see if their crews were able to get them repaired enough that they'll be able to stay up to speed and keep up with the lead pack. As Cody Lamas leads us back to green, he'll be restarting over Levi McIntyre, Charles Jackson there in third. So Toyota, Ford, Chevy, your top 3. Ryan Brommer will line up in 4th. 5th will be Mitchell Collins, the pole sitter. Dylan Young 6th, Charles Sanford 7th. 8th place is going to be Jose Mills. 9th place, Carson Gum. And completing your top 10 is going to be Luis Hernandez, the teammate to Cody Lamas. Lap 7 of 50 will go on the board. It gives us a total of 44 laps still to go. We've already worked our first yellow flag. Levi McIntyre trying to see if anyone will jump up to the top side with him on this restart, and nobody did. Charles Jackson on the inside line. I don't know if he's to the inside of McIntyre or not. Nope, McIntyre had him cleared. Tucks back in line behind the DeWalt Toyota Camry. Now Jackson making some moves. Here comes Mitchell Collins as well. Saw them 3 wide, several rows deep when we went green to start this race. Right now they're double wide. You got to wonder how anxious they'll be to go 3 wide. Speaking of anxious, Levi McIntyre anxious. He wants to lead a lap. His teammate Dylan Young led the first lap of this race. My apologies. Actually, Levi McIntyre is not out of Young Motorsports. He's actually out of Metal Maniacs Motorsports. My apologies. I'm thinking back to the Hershey's Cup Series. Didn't take them long to get 3 wide. They're 3 wide, 2, now 3 rows deep up here at the front as Mitchell Collins trying to take the race lead back from Levi McIntyre. Carson Gum right there in the 6, Michael Whitman in the 9. And this usually happens at tracks like Daytona, like Talladega, your super speedways, drivers that you don't see up at the front. At one point, you see up at the front at another point. I don't like the way they look back here. They are almost 4 wide. They were for a brief moment. That was Cole Deaver in a very hairy situation between a couple of Stuart Haas Racing Fords. Zachary Fitzwater in the 4 was one of those. The other was the 41 of Riley Spurley-Tube. They managed to get that back to 3 wide, which even then is rather nerve-wracking. I mean, look at them right there, 4 rows deep. And you got a little bit of a breakaway there before you get to a second pack where they're also 3 wide racing. Fords have been strong today. Carson Gum now is going to take a turn out in the lead, but here comes the Toyota on the bottom, Zach Rogers in the 96. Rogers, who had that late win in the Last of Us Light series this past season, now trying to win in the Great American Race. Riley Spurley-Tube, who was also in the Last of Us Light series, had a win that year. I believe that was at Chicagoland. He's there in that light blue 41. As Rogers is going to get to the left rear quarter panel, he'll pull alongside Carson Gum, and he'll try taking the race lead. Cole Deaver trying to figure out where he wants to go. He's going to tuck up in the line in front of the 14. Luis Hernandez sees the door open down low. He's going to charge up that inside line with help from Zach Winkle as well as Tony Green. Green's got his teammate there, former Daytona 500 winner Trent Dunham. As Rogers has a Toyota in tow, Luis Hernandez, he'll lead this lap, but Luis now going to have the inside advantage. Zach Rogers, a single car team here with Gaunt Brothers Racing. Luis Hernandez, of course, out of Joe Gibbs Racing. And look at the teammates there on the bottom out of Sega Motorsports, the 42 of Green, the 1 of Trent Dunham. Zach Winkle trying to get down there in front of them. He can't quite do it. He tried to go down and block the 42. 42 had too much momentum. And Zach Winkle gets put to the middle. Oh, contact between Rogers and Mills. They hung on to it, though. Look at them, 3 wide all the way back through this field again. Shades of what it looked like when we started this race. Didn't take them long. They're back to 3 wide racing again. Now they can hold 3 wide. It's when they start forcing the issue 4 wide that we start to get a little bit nervous, because it was that 4 wide situation out of turn 4 that brought out our first caution back on lap 2. Florida native Michael Norman charging up the inside line. He's going to put the 48 in the middle of Austin LaPlante. And he's also bringing along the number 11 of Michael Haas. Ooh. Alexander Rowe going down towards that double yellow line on the exit of turn 4. Hangs onto it, though, as Norman now will get to the inside of Tony Green. Tony Green, a former winner in his career at Daytona, won the Season 2 Coors Light Truck Series race here. And here comes Kyle Matthews in the 09. He's now up at the front of the field, former Hershey's Cup Series champion, and wow, what a block by Michael Norman. I don't know if Kyle Matthews lifted or if Norman just barely had enough room to clear, but that was awfully scary right there, and they are almost 4 wide back there again. Ryan Brommer put in a very difficult situation in the 24. Looks like he'll get in line behind Tony Green on the top side, so for now, we have dodged a bullet. They've been able to get back to 3 wide racing. But one thing I've noticed so far here today, nobody's really been able to hang on to the race lead. So that will be a very important note to tuck away when we get to the closing stages of this race. Zach Winkle, big run. He's going to have help from former Daytona 500 winner Trent Dunham. And he's going to go to the race lead. Alexander Rowe, who we saw have a little bit of a moment out of turn 4 a couple of laps ago, he's now making his way up towards the front. Right behind him, you got the 22. First time we've talked about Evan Hunter. He's making his NSCRA debut. Right behind him, Penske teammate Johnny Gardner, that bright yellow Duracell Ford that just jumped up to the middle line. A couple of Chevy Camaros, 1-2. Richard Petty Motorsports 43, and the Sega Motorsports 1, Winkle and Dunham. And I think the caution might be out. Looks like the lights are yellow there on the back straightaway, and no, they are not. We are still green. Must have been seeing the covers on the lights, and the covers are actually yellow, so it kind of throws you off. Ooh, wow, Gardner with a little bit of a lower exit out of turn 4 there. I wondered if he was going to get trapped in the middle by Alexander Rowe, but Rowe let him in. Mitchell Collins has been at the front after starting on the pole, faded back, moved to the front again, faded back, now back to the front is the Smithfield Ford, and now has a new wingman, or I should say in this case, Witten woman, Jessica Shelton there out of Retro Racing Enterprises, the Mountain Dew spiked Chevrolet Camaro. Dylan Young, big run on the bottom. He's got Kev Shearer in the 00 and James Qualls in the 70 offering drafting help. And Mitchell Collins saw that run coming out of turns 3 and 4. Went down to block. I don't know how these drivers have the guts to move down and block a lane that's got to be moving somewhere around 5 to 10 miles per hour faster than they are. You are basically putting trust in the fact that the driver you're blocking is going to lift to avoid running to the back of you. I mean, they could, by all rights and purposes, keep their foot in the throttle, bump you just wrong, and around you go. Kev Shearer in the 2nd position. Of course, Kev Shearer, a big Landon Castle fan, so running the Landon Castle paint scheme that Castle ran back in the Coke 600. We got a couple of drivers hitting pit lane. Collins, Mills, and I believe that was Ashlyn Boyd in the 18, and so 15 laps after they made pit stops under caution, they're on pit road making pit stops under green. As James Qualls will take a turn at the front, hearing some engines up ahead. That is the idling machine of Jay Jefferson. Currently on the tail end of the lead lap, but obviously with all that front end damage is significantly off the pace. We'll have to see if these drivers in this lead pack are going to catch, if they're going to catch him, or are they going to be coming to pit road before they do. Well, some of these drivers hitting pit lanes. Matter of fact, most of these drivers hitting pit lane. McIntyre's going to stay out. Riley Spurley Tube as well. Looks like Andrew Miller's going to stay out, the 47. Cole Deaver, Alexander Rowe, Michael Norman, Luis Hernandez, they're all going to stay out, and now we're going to have a lead change. McIntyre led that lap. Oh, wait, are we under caution? Spurley Tube, it's like he gave up the spot to McIntyre. I think we may be under yellow. Oh no, McIntyre's out of fuel. That's what it is. I saw the speed decreasing. I couldn't figure out why. McIntyre is out of gas. That's why everyone was slowing up. So we are still green. Levi McIntyre, fuel issues on the 99. As now Spurley Tube, Deaver, and the rest of them are going to come to pit road. Paul Minnick, the 13 as well. The Twisted Tea Chevy Camaro. Is McIntyre even going to make it to pit road? Also, same issue for Alexander Rowe. Both of them ran out of fuel. McIntyre's going to make it. Rowe, I believe, is also going to make it, as both of them, I believe, are clutching. But boy, that is a close call for both those drivers, and even though they both are going to make it to pit road and they're going to make it to their pit stalls, they're definitely going to lose a lot of track position. That also held up these guys here, like Riley Spurley Tube, Luis Hernandez, Andrew Miller. We saw got held up quite a bit behind McIntyre at the time into turn 3. So these guys are going to lose quite a bit of track position, I would think, to the drivers that came to pit road earlier than they did. Spurley Tube now leaving pit road. And I believe the driver that we need to look for is right there, that 14 car going around the outside. I believe the lead change just happened right there. Jose Mills now to the point as he actually now works his way around the 31. I believe that puts the 31 of Eli Bright a lap down, actually. Bright last time by scored in 40th. Oh, you can see he's got some damage, actually, on the Granger Chevy. Left side damage. I don't know if there was an incident on pit road or if this might be going back to that stack-up wreck that we had under our only caution so far. I don't know. But I believe Jose Mills is going to be scored the leader as he hits the line. That is indeed the case. Second place is actually back here. Kev Shearer, James Qualls, Michael Whitman. That's second, third, and fourth. That's about 4 seconds back from Jose Mills. Only problem is Mills doesn't have any drafting help. Fifth place right now would be Zach Winkle. Trent Dunham in 6th. Shelton currently is 7th. 8th place under contest between a couple of teammates. Give it to Dylan Young as he will take the spot from Evan Hunter. And right now, good battle here for 10th. Austin LaPlante in the mix here. Michael Haas, Johnny Gardner, Mitchell Collins, Michael Norman, Cole Deaver. At the very tail end of this, Riley Spurley Tube. So now we see the point where the green flag pit stop split the field up. Now everyone's goal is to try and get into a big pack. If you're running by yourself and there's 2, 3, 4 cars working together behind you, they are going to catch you quickly. Case in point, look at the 43 of Zach Winkle there in the 5th position. Here comes 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And watch just how quickly they close up the gap here. Now the 43 is going to be able to merge in with this group. It just shows you the speed difference between drivers that are working together and a driver that is all by his lonesome. They're about to catch the 31 of Eli Bright as well, and at the same time, these 5 are actually getting caught by this group back here, being led by the pole sitter Mitchell Collins. Michael Whitman now the new wingman for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That pack there, actually James Qualls losing touch with those two as they're trying to run down the 14 of Jose Mills, who just now got around Jordan Lopez and Seth Cole. I believe they are now 1 lap down. I think they were on the tail end of the lead lap up to that point. Those two drivers involved in our first and at this point only caution of the day. So Jose Mills hoping maybe that the drivers 2nd, 3rd on back will get held up behind these 2 lap machines. Kev Shearer about to catch them along with Whitman. He just took the 2nd spot from Whitman. Qualls is caught back up, so these 3 back together at the same time. 5th place Jessica Shelton has a big group with her as these 5 have now gotten reeled in by that other group, and there's another group behind them that's trying to reel them in as well there that was led by LaPlante. They're about to catch. Kyle Matthews in the group, as well as Tony Green, Ryan Brommer, Zach Rogers. So we could have a very big pack momentarily, and there's no doubt that they are probably then going to swallow up Shearer, Qualls, and Whitman, and then probably also, eventually, the 14 of Jose Mills. That last time by at the line, they gained 0.3 of a second. It's Shearer and Qualls, who are actually at this moment running side by side for the 2nd position. That's not going to help them in terms of trying to run down the 14. actually going to hinder them even more and allow them to probably get caught by this group, who now are trying to get by the slower machines of Seth Cole and Jordan Lopez. Dylan Young going to lead that charge. Trent Dunham and Zach Winkle getting held up there on the top side. Riley Spurleytube in the 41 as well, kind of boxed in between those two machines. He now gets down to the middle. These guys can get themselves formed back up. They'll produce an awful lot of speed. James Qualls now almost just a full second behind Jose Mills. Kev Shearer right there with him. A couple of single car race teams, the 70 out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports, the 00 out of Starcom Racing. And now Shearer going to try and go for second place, as they now, I believe, have caught the wake of the 14. They're now, I believe, in his draft. Well, we have now reached past the halfway point. Let's get a word from a series that I believe at this point is running. If not, it is on its way. Over on Gordon 291 fan, I think that's what it was. Gordon, I don't remember. Charles Sanford's series, the Coke Vanilla Cup series. We'll take a quick commercial break here. You won't miss a thing as we will go side by side. Welcome back to the 14th annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. 3 wide for the lead you saw right there. James Qualls going to the point, and as we had that commercial break, you saw how that group of 4 were very quickly reeled in by that other group, including Johnny Gardner, Dylan Young, Michael Norman. All these guys now up here in the mix, in the hunt for this race lead. What was basically a 4-car battle has now turned to about a 14-car battle. And it may be more than that, as they are now about to catch more drivers that are off the pace. That's the 21 of Caleb Farrell, right now being scored in the 40th position, and he's actually 5 laps down, so he must have had some kind of a unscheduled pit stop or something, it would seem. Probably back when we had that round of pit stops, that round of green flag pit stops, back between laps 18 to 20. Speaking of which, these drivers, when they came to pit road the last time, they came to pit road about 15 to 17 laps after they had all come to pit road under our first and only caution. So with that being said, we could see these drivers back on pit road if that's as far as they can go, somewhere within maybe the next 6 to 7 laps. Michael Haas out in front now with Austin LaPlante, a couple of newer faces up at the front of the field, as they are slowly reeling in the 32 once again of Jay Jefferson, who's already a lap down. Carson Gum in the 6, also off the pace, last car on the lead lap in the 35th position. It looks like the outside line is where the 32 is going to go. That's going to hold up everybody that's on the top side. Oh, we had trouble on the front straightaway. And are we under caution? We are. Smoke on the front straightaway. Exiting the tri-oval. And we are under yellow for the second time today. And this was just around the point that we were starting to think about the second round of green flag pit stops. Well, whatever the incident was, my assumption is it took place closer to the rear of the field because the smoke was still lingering when the leaders entered towards the start-finish line. This is also going to be a big break for Carson Gum, who is just about to go a lap down. So he'll be back at the tail end of the longest line and still on the lead lap. And I have no doubt in my mind that these drivers will all be coming to pit road here under this caution as well, because we were somewhere within the maybe 4 to 5 lap window of these drivers that had pitted early on the first round of green flag pit stops, probably having to come to pit road somewhere in that range. So as LaPlante leads us under our second caution of the day, let's take a look and see what happened in the tri-oval. And we got some drivers look like they're going to play some strategy. Dunham's going to pit, Shelton, Mills, Hunter, but LaPlante's going to stay out along with Michael Haas and Mitchell Collins. So the tale of two strategies here as we close in on 10 laps to go at Daytona. Looks like this group of race cars, they were all trying to work their way around the slower lap machine of Jordan Lopez. That's the bright yellow 13 of Paul Minnick trying to get to the inside. And I think Lopez thought he was clear, was going to try and tuck down in front of him. And the 13 was already there to his left rear. Hooks Lopez down towards the inside wall here on the exit of turn 4. Lopez going to keep his foot in the throttle, heading down towards pit lane entry. Is he going to go on the commitment line? Nope, he's going to be just to the right of it, so he doesn't get penalized for having to come to pit lane. But then he goes into the grass. There's no grip there. The rear wheel's going to slide. It's going to give him no traction. Car just goes straight and up into the left side door of Paul Minnick. And the 17 is going to go around for a spin. Quite extensive right side damage on Minnick's machine as well. Maybe a little bit of rear damage also. I mean, there could have been one of two things there. Either Lopez thought he could keep it straight and save it, or he knew that the 13 had turned him, and he was going to make sure that he took the 13 with him. Whatever the case, though, an incident between a couple of cars that were in a pack further back is going to bring out the caution. But this is a big break, not only, as we mentioned, for Carson Gum, but you see a lot of these other drivers back here that were in that group. You've also got Jackson and Zachary Fitzwater right there. They had lost the lead group. Everyone's going to be bunched back up now as we get ready to go back green flag racing. So everybody that's still on the lead lap still has a shot at this win with this very timely caution nearing the closing stages of the Daytona 500. Well, very interesting strategy going on right now with the fact of, remember that the fuel window is about 15 to 17 laps? Well, when we go back green, it'll be 15 laps to go. LaPlante was the leader. We saw him stay out, a number of other drivers. When the lights went out atop the pace car, those drivers dove for pit road. There you see them leaving pit lane. Gardner and Qualls and Lamas, Spurley-Tube, Whitman, Matthews, Young, all these guys here. There's LaPlante. They all came to pit road at the 1 to green signal. So this says to me they are good to go on fuel the rest of the way. They gave up track position, but this might be a race-winning move for a number of these drivers that decided to come to pit road right when the fuel window was open. Trent Dunham was the first driver to hit pit lane when we had the pit road open. So now he comes out as the race leader for this restart over Jose Mills, Evan Hunter, Jessica Shelton, Tony Green. That's your top 5. Ryan Brommer, Kev Shearer, Cole Deaver, Zach Rogers, and Luis Hernandez. That's going to be your top 10 when we go back racing. There is more than 10 laps to go. It'll be 15 to go when we hit the line. So the lap cars of Jefferson, Farrell, Cole, Eli Bright, and Jose Lopez, they will line up on that inside line. They could be a bit of a hindrance here on this restart as well. And surprisingly, we've worked our second caution. We're 35 laps in. Still, everybody that took the green is still running. Not on the lead lap, but all 40 cars are still running in this race. Trent Dunham, the season 10 winner here in the 500, gets us back underway. Green flag back in the air. And we're going to have to see how long it's going to take for the drivers like LaPlante and Haas, who all came to pit road, Whitman, how soon they're going to be able to get back up to the front of the field. They know at this point they pretty much are borderline good to go the rest of the way on fuel. Everybody else ahead of them, a little bit of a question mark. Oh, and we got a big wreck in the back out of turn 2. The big one has struck at Daytona. Lot of cars involved in this one. There's a car upside down. That's the 88 of Rob Evans. Carnage out of turn 2. And LaPlante was in it. Along with Qualls, those are a couple of the drivers that had used the strategy to come to pit road. And Trent Dunham's going to lead under our third caution of the day. And now, with this yellow flag coming out, all those drivers that came to pit road at the beginning of the pace laps of our second caution, now they can clutch, they can save fuel. I think this now puts everybody good to go in the fuel window. Charles Sanford, former Daytona 500 winner back in Season 7. His day is done. First time we talk about him today, and it's him involved in a wreck. There's the car that was upside down, Rob Evans. Qualls tried using strategy. Mired him back in the field. He gets caught up in it. Cody Lamas, who led us under our first caution. And there's a number of others that have already taken their cars back behind the wall. Carson Gum's got a lot of damage. Zachary Fitzwater, Ashland Boyd. There's LaPlante. Pole sitter Mitchell Collins. Can't tell if he's got damage or not. There's left side damage at least. Don't know if that was actually from the wreck or not. 78 of Brad Cheston. He's involved. Riley Spurley tube. Alexander Rowe. Dylan Young's got rear end damage. Michael Whitman. Kyle Matthews. There's Paul Minnick. There's Zach Winkle. A lot of damage. And there you see drivers staying out. Oh, we got some drivers that are actually going to pit. Looks like Kev Shearer and Cole Deaver have got some damage on their right sides. Yes, they do. They were involved. Dylan Young staying out. And you see most of these drivers that are staying out are the drivers that used the strategy of coming to pit road with one lap to go, with the exception of Luis Hernandez, who is going to inherit the race lead. And I don't think Michael Norman had that strategy either. But Michael Haas, Johnny Gardner, and Dylan Young, who are now 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I know they came to pit road when we had the 1 to green. So Luis Hernandez is going to be the race leader for the first time today. Let's go back and see what happened. The big one has struck here at Daytona out of turn number 2. It's going to start with Charles Sanford and the car right behind him, Andrew Miller, the 47. You see Miller taking a look down low. Thought about going up the middle 3 wide, and I think what happens here is Miller thinks, okay, I can tuck back up behind the 0-3, not realizing he was already to the inside of Sanford. Going to hook him there in the left rear quarter panel, off the door of Zachary Fitzwater. Carter Friesen is going to get caught up in this as well. He gets put up into the wall. So he spins around. There's Rob Evans, and then just basically look and see who gets through and who doesn't. McIntyre got a piece. There's the 78 of Cheston going up in the air. And then there's the shot, I think it was from Dylan Young, that's going to flip the nationwide Camaro of Rob Evans over. Look at Michael Haas sneak through that purple Toyota Camry. There's LaPlante down the right side of your screen. I think he's going to get a shot right here from Riley Spurley tube. Kyle Matthews just now entering into the frame. There's James Qualls with damage. A lot of damage on the front of his Ford Travel Motor Coach Chevy. 34 of Alexander Rowe, the 18 of Ashland Boyd, Carson Gum in the 6, who had that timely caution the last time to stay on the lead lap. Rob Evans' car not able to leave the scene of the accident, and so many of these drivers had utilized that strategy of coming to pit road with 1 lap to green to try and make sure they were good to go on fuel, and they get caught up in this because they had lost so much track position. And right there, might have been your race winner had that whole idea panned out. Austin LaPlante gave up the lead with 1 lap to green to come to pit road, and being mired back in traffic, there's just nowhere to go here at Daytona. There's Cody Lamas. A lot of damage on his machine. Tough break there for Brad Cheston making his debut here on the channel. Michael Whitman, a lot of damage as well. Kyle Matthews. And we saw Levi McIntyre got involved. So out of our 3 previous Daytona 500 winners, at least 2 of them, Sanford and McIntyre, were involved in this wreck. I think we'll get back green somewhere right in the realm of 10 laps to go. Everyone's good to go on fuel, so we're setting up for a shootout to the finish. Well, as we get ready to go back green, it will be with 10 laps even remaining in this race. And with that being said, the lap cars line up with the lead lap cars in a single file formation. So Seth Cole and Eli Bright will both restart ahead of the current race leader, Luis Hernandez. And right now, Seth Cole, I believe, is on the lead lap. He is in 25th. Eli Bright on the lead lap in 26th. So they're hoping and praying maybe for another quick caution if they can stay ahead of the leader. Luis Hernandez is going to be the leader when we go back green. Michael Norman there in second. And I thought Michael got a little piece of that wreck in the big one, but maybe not enough to take him out of the running for this win. Michael Haas, we saw that amazing move he had to slip through. He's going to restart in third. Johnny Gardner in fourth. And Dylan Young, who we know got a piece of the wreck, he's got rear end damage. He'll restart in fifth. Trent Dunham's going to be in sixth. Seventh place is Jose Mills. Eighth, Tony Green. Ninth, Jessica Shelton. And completing your top 10 is Evan Hunter. 11th is going to be Charles Jackson. Ryan Brommer in 12th. 13th, Zach Rogers. 14th, Andrew Miller. 15th is going to be James Shelley. 16th, even though he's got no hood, that's going to be Zach Winkle. 17th, Kyle Matthews. So they're praying for a miracle here. Carter Friesen, he's been involved in 2 of our cautions today, but he's still charging on in 18th. Kev Shearer now in 19th. And completing your top 20, badly mangled machine of Michael Whitman. 21st is going to be Riley Spurley-Tube. 22nd is Cole Deaver, rather. 23rd, Levi McIntyre. 24th is Mitchell Collins. 25th place is right now Seth Cole. 26th, Eli Bright. They're the last cars on the lead lap. Green flag set to come back out in the air, and we may have a battle for the lead already here. No, we won't. Hernandez on the top side, going to get around Eli Bright. Michael Norman's going to get pinned in behind his teammate. And so Hernandez goes P1. Teammate Michael Haas trying to go P2 as Hernandez went topside on Bright, goes low on Cole. He'll get out into clean air. And now leaves second place on back to have to deal with the slower traffic. The now slower lap traffic as Hernandez was able to get around both the 55 and the 31. You noticed over on the left side of your screen the drivers that are out of the race after the big one, and it is the first wreck to take drivers out of the race here today. We had 2 cautions previously, and everyone that was involved were still able to continue on, not necessarily all of them on the lead lap nor up to speed, but it's the first retirees of the day, and it happened back around lap 36, 37. So pretty impressive that 40 drivers were able to make it that far without one of them going back into the garage area. But the big one struck, took out a number of our drivers, and has left a number of wounded race cars in this field as well. Luis Hernandez, the Toyota. Norman, the Chevy. Then another Toyota in Michael Haas, now being challenged by the Ford of Johnny Gardner. And now we're starting to get some new faces up here towards the front. Wow, that was close. There had to have been contact there between Haas and Green, as Tony Green was literally leaning into the 11's left rear quarter panel off turn 4. You also got James Shelley now up here, and he's got a teammate. That's Andrew Miller in the 47, who, let's be honest, basically caused the wreck that brought out the third caution of the day and took out a number of drivers in the big one here off of turn 2. But he's still up here now in the top 10, pushing teammate James Shelley. You got some other faces back here we haven't really talked about. How about the 24 of Ryan Brommer up here in the top 10, as well as Evan Hunter in the 22. Got opportunities for teammates to work together up here at the front. got the 12 and the 22. You got the 47 and the 71. The 1 and the 42. And the 11 and the 19. And the third of the 4 drivers out of the stables that Andrew Miller and James Shelley are out of, CyberLife Motorsports, Charles Jackson is trying to catch up to the tail end of this lead pack. You've also got the Toyota, the single car team, Zach Rogers, that 96. He's there as well, as we're going to go 3 wide for the lead. Green got to the inside of Hernandez. Gardner's going to get to the inside of Green, and he's got help from Ryan Brommer. You also got the 14 back there, Jose Mills. Don't count out him, but he's lost a number of his teammates, though. Fitzwater, damaged. I believe he's out of the race, actually. Riley Spurley, too, damaged and off the pace, and Mitchell Collins also not up here to be able to help. So if Mills is going to win, he's going to have to do it all on his own, or at least try and find some friends here in the closing stages as Gardner leads. Rear decklet full of the Clover First Data Chevrolet of James Shelley, the defending Pizza Hut X Series champion. And here comes Trent Dunham, who right now is basically the only former Daytona 500 winner who's got a shot of being a 2-time Great American Race winner. What a day it's got to have been for Evan Hunter, his very first start in an NSCRA sanctioned event. And he's in the 4th position with a shot of winning the Daytona 500. Same can be said for Jose Mills, also making his first start of his NSCRA career. Trent with a move down low on Gardner. Hunter's going to go up and help his teammate on the top side. Trying to keep Gardner out in front. It's not going to work, though. Dunham on his lonesome is going to pull alongside of the Duracell Menards Ford Fusion. 3 wide here in this lead pack. You've got about roughly, I'd say, 13, 14 cars in this lead group with a shot of winning this race. 4 laps to go at Daytona. And now Evan Hunter wants the lead for himself, and he's got Zach Rogers pushing him. Rogers, who was at the tail end of this pack about 3 laps ago, now he's up in second. Now he wants the lead. He's got help from Jose Mills. Charles Jackson also up here towards the front in the 95. And Mills going to make it 3 wide into 3. He wants the top position back. We've got a huge mixture of Fords, Chevys, and Toyotas. So each manufacturer very well represented up here in this lead group. Question is, which manufacturer will win out? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 7 Chevys. 1, 2, 3 Fords, and I believe 3 Toyotas in this group. So obviously the Chevys have the numbers. But the question is, will they have the positioning, and will they be willing to work together as Jose Mills leads? Ryan Brommer battling with Jackson for second, tucks down in front of Tony Green, who I thought was going to try and make it 3 wide into 3, but I don't think he had enough help. And you got Miller and Shelley there lined up together again, the 2 teammates. Tony Green probably wishing he had Trent Dunham up here to help him. Ryan Brommer, he's all by himself. None of his Hendrick Motorsports teammates are up here. Plant, Whitman, they're out of the race. And of course, Rob Evans out of the race as well, as he flipped out of turn 2. So the lone hope for Hendrick Motorsports would be that 24 car as Tony Green goes to the lead. But here comes CyberLife Motorsports on the bottom. Miller with help from Shelley. This time by out of turn 4, they will see the white flag. Tony Green, who has a Truck Series win here at Daytona in the Coors Light Truck Series Season 2, trying to win the Great American Race here in the Snickers Cup Series. White flag, 1 lap to go. It's Green, Miller, then Mills, Shelley, and Gardner with the top 5 when they cross that last time by. In what order will they cross when they reach the checkers? Green with clean racetrack. Miller has Shelley in tow. Can Andrew Miller make a move down the back straightaway here? He's got to have the 71 of Shelley tucked up right behind him. Looks like he's waiting. Might be waiting to make the move out of turn number 4. Shelley's got his hands full with Mills. Meanwhile, Rogers trying to take 5th place from Hunter. Out of 4. Green going to do a lot of mirror driving. Will Miller make a move? Miller in the tire tracks of the Credit One Chevy. He will not make a move. Tony Green wins the 14th annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. Tony Green. Out of Sega Motorsports, it is the second time a Sega Motorsports entry will win the Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. Of course, the team owner Trent Dunham did it back in Season 10. And Tony Green, who really, let's be honest, we didn't talk about most of the day, ran just about mid-pack for most of this race. But when it counted, was up at the front, avoided the carnage of the day, and will bring home the W and becomes the 14th different winner of the Snickers Cup Series Great American Race. Basically did everything he had to do, put himself out in front when he needed to most, and kept Andrew Miller at bay to capture the checkered flag. Let's take a look here at our full finishing results on the day. Tony Green with the win. Miller will come home second. Shelley there in third. The teammates were lined up. I don't know why they didn't make a move, especially out of turn 4. But they didn't. And so they'll have to settle for the second and third position places on the podium. Jose Mills brings it home in 4th in his very first NSRA start. Zach Rogers, that single car team, in 5th. Charles Jackson 6th. So 3 of the 4 CyberLife Motorsports cars finishing in the top 10. How about Evan Hunter there, also in his debut race, getting 7th. His teammate Johnny Gardner in 8th. Michael Norman brings it home 9th. And Trent Dunham, the highest finishing of the former Daytona 500 winners, as he'll finish out the day in 10th place. And the last 2 cars to finish in that lead group were 11th and 12th, being Ryan Brummer and Michael Haas. Luis Hernandez kind of faded back there. I don't know if he got held up behind the lap machines there on the start, and that's what faded him back there to finish 13th, but still a pretty good run for him. He also led some laps today. Mitchell Collins, that was a comeback finish to 14th for the pole sitter. And then Jessica Shelton's going to complete the top 15. And then on back was basically drivers that were damaged and off the pace. But you got Kev Shearer, Levi McIntyre, Cole Deaver, Carter Fries, and Dylan Young at least able to finish in the top 20. Riley Spurley Tube 21st. Kyle Matthews 22nd. 23rd for Zach Winkle. And Michael Whitman finished the last car on the lead lap in 24th place. Then you got the drivers who finished off the lead lap, those being Eli Bright, 25th, Seth Cole, 26th, Jay Jefferson in 27th and 28th, Caleb Farrell, and then everybody else, you can see on down, finished out of the race. And pretty much every single one of them finished out of the race after the big one we had out of turn number 2, our third caution of the day. The other 2 cautions, yes, they involved drivers. Yes, we had drivers off the pace, but they were all still running on the racetrack at the time. It was that third and final caution that was the death knell for a number of drivers having a shot at winning today's Daytona 500 race. But Tony Green brings it home here today. He joins the likes of Wilson, Brace, Whitney, Lawler, McLeod, Ward, Sanford, Iguchi, McIntyre, Dunham, Silver Fox, Romero, and Keys as a Daytona 500 winner in the Snickers Cup Series. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today, and we will see you guys next time for whatever comes out here on this channel. I've been Seth Cole. I've been pleased to bring you a production of the NSRA Offline Racing at its best. Goodbye from Daytona.